Welcome to War Bioses, the podcast where we delve into the lives of history's most fascinating military leaders, uncovering the intricate tapestry of their experiences, decisions, and character traits that define their legacies. Today, we're going to explore the extraordinary life of Seleucus I, one of the most successful and influential generals of the ancient world. Born in the 4th century BC, Seleucus would rise from humble beginnings to become a key player in the wars of Alexander the Great and eventually the founder of the Seleucid Empire. To understand the man who would shape the destiny of the ancient Near East, we must begin with his early life, set against the backdrop of a tumultuous Macedonia. Seleucus was born around 35 BC in Europus, a small town nestled in the heart of the Macedonian kingdom, to Antiochus, a nobleman of moderate means, and his wife. The historical context of his birth is crucial, as it placed him at the intersection of two worlds: the traditional Macedonian aristocracy, with its emphasis on martial prowess and loyalty to the king, and the rising tide of Greek culture, which valued philosophy, literature, and the arts. As a member of the nobility, Seleucus's family was likely influenced by the monarchic traditions of Macedonia, where the king's authority was absolute and the nobles were expected to provide military service in exchange for land and privilege. The young Seleucus would have grown up surrounded by the trappings of war, the clash of steel on steel, the scent of sweat and leather, and the thunder of hooves on the battlefield. His childhood would have been marked by the usual pursuits of a young noble: hunting, warfare training, and education in literature and philosophy, all designed to prepare him for a life of military service and leadership. However, it was during this period that he would have also been exposed to the tumultuous politics of Macedonia, as King Philip II, Alexander's father, expanded his kingdom through a series of military campaigns. The young Seleucus would have witnessed the arrival of foreign dignitaries, heard stories of battles won and lost, and perhaps even caught glimpses of the charismatic leaders who frequented the royal court. He would have seen the grandeur of the Macedonian army, with its phalanx formations and lightning-fast cavalry, and begun to understand the intricacies of war and statecraft. As he grew older, Seleucus's education would have included training in arms and tactics, preparing him for a life of military service. His family's connections to the Macedonian nobility meant that he was likely groomed for a role in the army from an early age. The influence of his father, Antiochus, cannot be overstated, as he would have instilled in Seleucus the values of loyalty, duty, and courage that defined the Macedonian aristocracy. Antiochus, a seasoned warrior himself, would have regaled his son with tales of battle, teaching him the importance of discipline, strategy, and adaptability on the battlefield. The formative years of Seleucus's life were also marked by the presence of influential mentors and role models. One such figure was undoubtedly Alexander himself, who would have been a few years older than Seleucus. As a member of the royal court, Seleucus would have had opportunities to observe Alexander's leadership style, his strategic thinking, and his unwavering ambition. The relationship between these two future leaders is not well documented, but it is likely that Seleucus was drawn into Alexander's orbit, learning from him and perhaps even participating in some of his early military campaigns. Alexander, with his magnetic personality and unyielding drive, would have been a powerful influence on a young Seleucus. He would have seen firsthand Alexander's ability to inspire loyalty and devotion in his troops, his willingness to take risks and challenge conventional wisdom, and his unwavering commitment to his vision of a unified Greece. These traits would have left an indelible mark on Seleucus, shaping his own approach to leadership and warfare. As Seleucus entered his late teens and early 20s, he would have been increasingly aware of the wider world beyond Macedonia. The Persian Empire, with its vast resources and complex bureaucracy, loomed large to the east, while the city-states of Greece simmered with tension and rivalry. It was against this backdrop that Seleucus began to forge his own path, one that would eventually lead him to become a key player in the wars of Alexander and the founder of a dynasty that would shape the ancient world for centuries to come. The early years of Seleucus's life were marked by a series of significant events that shaped his character and future path. His family's connections to the Macedonian nobility, his education in arms and tactics, and his exposure to influential mentors like Alexander all contributed to his development as a leader. As Seleucus entered his mid-20s, he found himself increasingly drawn into Alexander's inner circle, where the young king's infectious enthusiasm and unwavering ambition created an electrifying atmosphere that galvanized his closest companions. The year was 334 BCE, and Alexander, determined to conquer the Persian Empire, began to assemble a team of trusted advisors and generals who would form the backbone of his military campaigns. Seleucus, with his family connections and military training, was a natural fit for this group, bringing a unique blend of tactical acumen and strategic insight that would serve him well in the years to come. As they embarked on their campaign against the Persians, Seleucus accompanied Alexander into the heart of enemy territory, playing a key role in the Battle of Granicus, where the Macedonians secured a decisive victory that would set the tone for their subsequent conquests. The battle itself was a masterclass in tactical maneuvering, with Alexander's forces exploiting the weaknesses of the Persian army to devastating effect. Seleucus, leading a contingent of Macedonian troops, demonstrated his mettle as a commander, earning the respect of his peers and the admiration of Alexander himself. The years that followed were marked by a series of grueling campaigns as Alexander pushed deep into Persian territory, leaving in his wake a trail of conquered cities and vanquished armies. Seleucus proved himself to be a skilled and resourceful commander, adapting to the changing circumstances of war with ease and earning a reputation as one of Alexander's most trusted generals. At the Battle of Issus in 33 BCE, he led a contingent of Macedonian troops against the Persian king Darius III, helping to secure another crucial victory for the Greeks. As Alexander's empire expanded, Seleucus found himself tasked with governing newly conquered territories, a daunting challenge that required him to balance the competing demands of different factions and interest groups. In 329 BCE, he negotiated a treaty with the Persian satrap of Bactria, a region in modern-day Afghanistan, securing a vital trade route between Babylon and the eastern provinces of the empire. The agreement was a major coup for Seleucus, demonstrating his ability to navigate complex webs of alliances and rivalries, and showcasing his diplomatic prowess. Throughout this period, Seleucus remained close to Alexander, who continued to value his counsel and trust his judgment. In 327 BCE, he accompanied the king on his ill-fated campaign into India, where they faced fierce resistance from the local population. Although the expedition ultimately ended in defeat, Seleucus played a key role in the battles that took place, helping to extricate the Macedonian army from a series of precarious situations. As the years passed, Seleucus's reputation as a skilled and accomplished leader continued to grow, earning him the respect and admiration of his peers. He became one of Alexander's most trusted generals, known for his bravery, intelligence, and unwavering loyalty. When Alexander died suddenly in 323 BCE, Seleucus was among the small group of senior officers who gathered to determine the future of the empire. The meeting, which took place in Babylon, would prove to be a pivotal moment in Seleucus's career, setting him on a path that would ultimately lead him to become one of the most powerful men in the ancient world. In the aftermath of Alexander's death, Seleucus found himself embroiled in a complex web of alliances and rivalries as various factions vied for control of the empire. He formed close relationships with several of his fellow generals, including Ptolemy, who would eventually become the ruler of Egypt, and Antipater, who controlled much of Greece. Together, they worked to maintain stability and order in the face of growing chaos, using their combined military and diplomatic resources to secure key territories and outmaneuver their opponents. As the empire fragmented into smaller kingdoms, Seleucus emerged as a major player, using his strategic genius and leadership skills to carve out a vast territory that stretched from Babylon to the Indus River. With its capital in Babylon, the empire would go on to play a major role in shaping the course of history, leaving behind a rich cultural heritage that continues to inspire and fascinate people to this day. Seleucus's own words, as recorded by the ancient historian Arrian, offer a glimpse into his thoughts on leadership and power. "The king," he said, "must be like a shepherd who protects his flock from harm and ensures their well-being." It was a philosophy that guided him throughout his life as he worked tirelessly to build a better future for his people, using his intelligence, courage, and unwavering dedication to create a lasting legacy that would endure for centuries. As he navigated the treacherous waters of ancient politics, Seleucus remained committed to this vision, always seeking to balance the competing demands of different factions and interest groups, while staying true to his core values of justice, compassion, and wisdom. As Seleucus I's empire continued to flourish, he faced numerous challenges, including wars with neighboring kingdoms and internal power struggles that threatened to destabilize his vast territories. The seasoned commander, however, remained the shrewd leader, always seeking to expand his territory and secure his legacy through a combination of strategic alliances, cunning diplomacy, and decisive military action. In 281 BCE, he launched a campaign against Lysimachus, one of Alexander's other successors, and emerged victorious, incorporating much of Asia Minor into his empire. The campaign against Lysimachus was marked by several pivotal moments that showcased Seleucus's strategic genius. One such moment occurred during the Battle of Corupedium, where Seleucus employed an unorthodox tactic, utilizing his cavalry to outflank Lysimachus's forces and catch them off guard. This bold maneuver paid off, as Lysimachus's army was decisively defeated, securing a crucial victory for Seleucus. The significance of this battle extends beyond the immediate outcome. It highlights Seleucus's willingness to challenge conventional wisdom and push the boundaries of military strategy. In the final years of his life, Seleucus I turned his attention to the eastern provinces, where he had faced significant resistance from local rulers who were determined to maintain their independence. Undaunted by the challenges that lay ahead, he launched a series of military campaigns, leveraging his legendary army to pacify the region and establish a lasting peace. His efforts were rewarded with the submission of several key cities, including Persepolis, which became a major center of trade and culture under Seleucid rule. The incorporation of these eastern provinces not only expanded Seleucus's empire, but also facilitated the exchange of ideas, cultures, and technologies between East and West, leaving an indelible mark on the ancient world. Seleucus I's later years were also marked by significant architectural and cultural achievements that underscored his vision for a unified and prosperous empire. He founded over 70 cities, including Antioch, which would become one of the largest and most influential cities in the ancient world. These urban centers served as hubs for commerce, learning, and artistic expression, attracting scholars, poets, and philosophers from across the known world. Seleucus also sponsored numerous artistic and literary projects, including the construction of grand temples and the patronage of renowned poets and philosophers. His commitment to these endeavors reflects not only his aesthetic sensibilities, but also his understanding of the role that culture plays in shaping a society's values and identity. As he grew older, Seleucus I began to take steps to ensure the succession of his empire, recognizing that the future of his dynasty depended on careful planning and wise leadership. He appointed his son, Antiochus I, as co-regent, and began to groom him for leadership, imparting his vast knowledge and experience to the next generation. However, his plans were cut short when he was assassinated in 281 BCE, allegedly by one of his own generals, Ptolemy Ceraunus, in a shocking betrayal that would have far-reaching consequences for the empire. He was remembered as a brilliant military strategist and a wise leader who had expanded Alexander's empire and established a lasting dynasty. His empire continued to thrive under the rule of his successors, including Antiochus I, who would go on to become one of the most influential leaders of the ancient world, navigating the complex web of alliances and rivalries that defined the Hellenistic era. The Greek historian Plutarch's observation that Seleucus was a man of great courage and intelligence, who had risen from humble beginnings to become one of the most powerful men in the world, encapsulates the essence of his remarkable life. Seleucus's journey from being one of Alexander's trusted generals to becoming the founder of a vast empire is a compelling narrative of ambition, perseverance, and vision. His military campaigns, cultural achievements, and leadership style continue to influence our modern world, from the study of ancient history to the practice of diplomacy and statecraft. The renowned historian Edward Gibbon's note that the history of empires is a lesson in the impermanence of human greatness, but also in the enduring power of human achievement, resonates deeply when considering Seleucus's place in the annals of history. His empire may have eventually succumbed to the inevitable forces of decline and fragmentation, but the ideas, cultures, and institutions that flourished under his rule continue to shape our understanding of the world and our place within it. As we march toward our own victories, whether in the realm of personal achievement or collective progress, we would do well to remember the example set by this ancient leader, who against all odds forged an empire that would leave an indelible mark on the course of human history. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography, reminding you to keep marching toward victory.